Uh, another radiograph. We're still in the premolar region, and you see that the premolar region, actually, because of the presence of the inferior dental canal and the mental foramen, actually bears a special adds speciality to this area. And as you can see in here, the mental foramen, as you can see it's located here. So the mental foramen, by the way, it's not always that sharp. It depends on the location, it depends on the exposure factors, it depends on many other things that would make it very sharp or make it less sharp. By the way, because the mental foramen opens on the buccal surface, so you don't expect it to be very sharp because it's away from the film, so it will appear of less sharpness if compared to other structures which are located on the lingual surface of the tooth. Another radiograph of the premolar region, and this radiograph. See the mental foramen. If you follow the inferior dental canal here, the mental foramen actually tends to loop. It is the end of a loop of the inferior dental canal. Again, the mental foramen is located in this area, and it doesn't see how far it is located from the apex. If we go back to the previous radiograph, this one is more of a closer position to the apex of the fore. Here it is located away of either premolars, and it is mostly in between. So, as we said, the position and the level of the foramen varies from one subject to another. In the premolar region, this is an area of edentulous premolar molar region, and you can see that the soft tissue, as you can see it in here, this area, soft tissue will also cast a shadow because it is thick, and especially in patients who are edentulous for a long period, you would expect this tissue to be thick because of the physiological demand, so it gets thicker. Thicker tissues will cast a shadow on the radiograph, and it should be considered. So this is the level of the alveolar bone, and all this is gingival tissue, which is located just above it. Now let's go to the molars. In the molars, there are other characteristic features that are specific to the molar area because of course of its anatomical position, and just like in what we said in the previous radiographs regarding the mandible, the bone trabecules in the mandible, it's more clear. They tend to run in a horizontal pattern, unlike the upper, which they mesh. Here they more or less travel horizontally, and they tend to be thicker. The bone trabecules, they tend to be thicker, leaving a smaller space for the marrow spaces, unlike in the maxilla. Now, if this radiograph was for an edentulous patient, you would know that because of the direction of the bone trabecules, you would plus of course other anatomical areas which are present in the area, you would think, or you would know that this radiograph is for for the molar area. Another characteristic thing in this area is the the gingival tissues. The gingival tissues, you see it here because again this is a thick tissue, a thick pad in the retromolar area, retromolar pad. So you would expect to see thick gingival tissues just posterior to the 6, 7, and the 8 is extracted here. So again, this area is a thick area. This is a solitary molar tooth. I assume that this would be a lower 7. So in this area you see the bone trabecules, and now just like we'll proceed in the other radiographs, from the external and the internal oblique ridges, you would know that this tooth or this radiograph belongs to this area. Now this is a radiograph for the lower molars. In the lower molars, this is this 5, 6, 7, 8 seems to be either congenitally missing or extracted. I would assume that it is congenitally missing because there is no trace of a socket, older socket at least. Anyways, in this area you would see the external oblique ridge, which looks a bit faint if it is compared to the internal oblique ridge, because the internal oblique ridge is located more towards lingually, so it will appear more radio-opaque and it will appear more sharp. Okay, while if you go to the external oblique ridge, the external oblique ridge, which is located over here, it appears of a lesser sharpness and of a lesser radio opacity, so it means it is located away from the film, and hence we know. Just like look at the cusps here. The cusp here, this one has a lower radio opacity and sharpness than this one. So this means this one is the cusp away from the film, buccal, i.e. buccal, and the one which is of a higher radio opacity, more sharpness, is the one closer to the film. And you can build on this relationship or this idea is that structures which are closer to the film appear more radio opaque, more sharp, unlike the structures which are away from the film, like the external auditory meatus. They will appear of a lesser sharpness, often lesser radio opacity. Have a look at the type of bone trabecules here. They seem more or less more parallel if compared to those of the maxilla. Okay, another area 5, 6, 7, and this is for the lower 8. And here you will see that in the area which is extending at the middle third of the lower molars and extends anteriorly, there is an area of an increased radio opacity. As we understood that areas of an increased radio opacity, more bone trabeculation, they are categorized as a ridge. And here typically is the location of the mylohyoid ridge. The mylohyoid ridge is located in this area, so it appears, of course, actually it is the union of the external oblique ridge and the internal oblique ridge. When they unite, they both together they will form the mylohyoid ridge, which you can see it extending for covering the area apical to the molars, and they go upwards as they unite with the external and the internal oblique ridges, so they tend to pass obliquely from the across the lines, across the roots of the lower molar teeth, and they go in an apical direction as they proceed anteriorly. In the premolar molar region, you will see an area which is located of a reduced number of bone trabecules. Now, reduced number of bone trabecules brings to our mind a fossa. What fossa which is present here, just inferior to the mylohyoid ridge? It is a large fossa that extends on the lingual surface of the mandible, located between the mylohyoid ridge and the inferior border of the mandible, and this is the submandibular gland fossa. This is important feature in this area. See, the shadow of the mylohyoid ridge, just beneath it, suddenly all the trabecules will disappear, okay, representing or indicating the presence of a fossa. This is the mylohyoid fossa. Sometimes in cases where there is overexposure, it will appear very dark. This is actually for to accommodate the submandibular gland. It rests on the lingual surface of the mandible on this fossa. See, in this radiograph where there is the exposure is high, there is almost total loss of the bone trabecules in the area apical to the molars, all the molars, 6, 7, 8. Now, if this is the external oblique ridge, it ends up in the mylohyoid ridge. Just inferior to the mylohyoid ridge is this big area. Don't please mix this up with a pathology unless you exclude the submandibular gland fossa, which is present in this area in the posterior segment of the mandible, in the body of the mandible, actually just apical to the roots of the lower molars. Now 5, 6, 7 and 8, you will see this is the mylohyoid ridge, and you will see two lines, 1, 2. This line actually enhouses radiolucency, extending all over this place, and then it goes anteriorly and loops back posteriorly. See this loop over here? This is typically the inferior dental canal. Inferior dental canal. This canal, you know, it's present from the mandibular foramen in the ramus of the mandible, and then it goes downward and anteriorly all the way to the mental foramen. In the area of the mental foramen, it loops back posteriorly and exits in the mental foramen. This is the inferior dental canal, which is again a characteristic feature in the body of the mandible. Mylohyoid ridge, internal oblique ridge, external oblique ridge, and then you will see the submandibular gland fossa. The submandibular gland fossa overlays actually or superimposes the inferior dental canal. This is the canal over here. Okay, then it goes anteriorly and then we lose track of it. Not always seen. Inferior alveolar canal is this one. One other thing I would like to say is that, just like we said in the beginning, we're not dealing here with mannequins, we're dealing with human beings. Every human being is different from the other. Those structures are here, but you do not necessarily see them in each and every person. Sometimes you see them up, you see them low on a lower level. Sometimes you don't see them as sharp as the others, and so on. This is simply anatomical variation, but if you see it, you must know what is present in this area, so that you understand what is present. This is the mylohyoid ridge, as we said earlier, and just beneath it lays down the submandibular gland fossa, and it you know that the submandibular gland fossa is located on the lingual surface of the mandible. So is the mylohyoid ridge. The inferior dental canal actually is located midway between the buccal and the lingual plates of the mandible. So the image of the submandibular gland fossa, this is the canal over here. Okay, in this relationship, the X-ray, the image of the submandibular gland fossa overlays or superimposes the image of the inferior dental canal. Tram lines sometimes is the term that is used to describe the the inferior dental canal. You see those two white lines, radio-opaque lines. These represent the roof and the floor of the submandibular of the inferior dental canal. So it is much similar to two parallel lines going all the way. Whatever of course the radiograph would show, the tram line actually represents the roof and the floor of the inferior dental canal. In reality, it's a complete canal, but the X-ray will pass in this direction. So what we would see is the upper surface and the lower surface, but the walls of the canal are surrounding the canal all the way. But again, because of superimposition, and this is located in the way of the passage of the X-ray, this is the internal oblique ridge over here. See this radio opaque area, and this is the course of the inferior dental canal, which is represented by the two tram lines up and down. Okay, so this is our last slide. I hope this lecture was beneficial for you. Thank you very much.